Hello, and thank you for joining us to talk more on Monday. This podcast was started to give a voice to More's mission of making opportunities reachable for everyone, and it continues today as a way for us to share the mic with like-minded individuals with their own stories to share. Talking More has become our channel for history, mindsets, information you need, and featuring our interns who are learning how to share their voice. Join us on Patreon for our Masterclass with More, hosted by Bria Bradley, as she deep dives with experts on a host of topics key to building your business and legacy. You'll find our founder content hosted by our founder Ariana as part of our Masterclass, where business owners share lessons they've learned while in business. Today, we are diving in with the people who make this issue more. This month, we launched Issue XII Cerebral, and today we have contributors joining us from our recent issue. Cerebral takes a look at our mindset and our approach, how our perspectives take on different topics, and how we serve throughout our life. Today, we are joined by Claudia Gil Matias. Claudia Gil Matias is a first-generation Latina professional based in Indianapolis, Indiana, who recently graduated from Butler University with a Bachelor of Science in Marketing and Business Technology and Analytics. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Passionate about the intersection of creativity and strategy, she has built a diverse portfolio of experience through impactful internships at organizations such as the Lilly Endowment, More Magazine, and Tenoria's Table, where she specialized in social media marketing, content creation, and performance analytics. As a Lilly Endowment Scholarship recipient and a member of the Access Leadership Program Cohort 8, Claudia is deeply committed to mentorship, equity, and advocacy, frequently using her voice to foster inclusion and create opportunities for others within the marketing and technology sectors. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so glad to have you. It is awesome to have former interns from More on the show and get to talk about, what life has been like since you left More and how things have grown for you, and especially to have you return as a contributor to Issue 12. It's very exciting.
Yeah, I'm honestly honored to have this opportunity just because, especially like now that the issue's like focused on mindset.
Yeah.
And like the I don't know, I really wanted to talk about can I mention the topic?
Yeah,
I really
absolutely.
wanted to talk about being an eldest daughter and the role that comes with it, the responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really glad that Ariana and I had a conversation previous and she was able to let me contribute to the newest issue.
Yeah. So let's get into your article a little bit, talking about being an eldest daughter and sharing your experiences, which is part of the reason that I love More Magazine, is that we have, pieces that focus on history or data or analytics, but we also have pieces where people are sharing their own personal experiences and their stories and diving into, what it means for them, because our topics are usually so broad. They can mean so many things to so many different people, and Cerebral especially can have a huge variety of what that means.
I agree.
So your article discusses this quiet pressure of being the eldest daughter and striving to meet labels like overachiever and perfectionist that people assume of an oldest daughter. How did you recognize that you were shaping yourself into a version that didn't feel entirely authentic, as you mentioned? And what was the first meaningful step that you took towards defining your values outside of those expectations?
That's a great question. I think growing up as the only daughter for a bit, I didn't really question the roles that I took upon myself, as being a translator, being kind of like the family manager in a way at a very young age. But once my brother was born, I realized, there's more responsibilities to this role. And even though I love very much dearly my brother, I was I'm only in high school and I have my own set of dreams and responsibilities. And I think it all began in high school, and then I started to feel my goals weren't my goals, and what I had set for myself wasn't just for me. And even though like I will always want to honor the sacrifices that my parents did, because as you mentioned, I'm first gen Latina, I still had to like set those boundaries with them at a very early age. And I think I'm very proud of that, because now looking back, like our relationship has gotten so much better, and we've created an environment where my brother can flourish and not need to feel how I felt in that moment.
Yeah.
Because he's at that age where I started to feel those emotions. And yeah, it's the first step was to put some boundaries and, you know, stand up for myself. And my parents graciously gave me that space to be comfortable in speaking to them in that manner. And I know not everyone has that opportunity to do so.
Yeah.
So that is why I wanted to write a piece that focused on that and like really highlighted the way that eldest daughters grow up in a way.
Yeah. I think that's really interesting, because setting boundaries and having those hard conversations is so intimidating, and it can feel like, where do I start? Are we still going to have a good relationship if I do this? But because you did it, your relationship is so much better now, because you had that hard conversation.
Yeah. It was very interesting at first, because I honestly was kind of freaked out, because like you said, like those questions get to you where like, and I'm an overthinker. Like that is another thing. Like
Classic.
I am an overthinker, and I will like, and maybe this is a bad trait, but I'm learning not to be, but pessimistic. I used to call myself realistic, and I was like, no, you're pessimistic. And I realized that if I want change, especially now, like for the younger generations, I have to be the change. And my parents, like I said, they gave me that space to fully express myself. And it helped me a lot, because it also helped me set boundaries within friendships, relationships. And if those weren't respected, I learned to step away from those situations. Just because in a way, like it also helped me be myself more unapologetically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I wouldn't say that pessimism is necessarily a weakness or a negative trait. It's a different way of looking at the world, right? But it does prepare you for those moments when things go wrong or people disappoint you. You've already anticipated it, and you might even have a better reaction to it because it was in the back of your mind the whole time. Like, someone who would consider themselves an optimist might be surprised, and it would take them even longer to work through it because they hadn't considered it, you know?
That's a good point.
Yeah. No weaknesses, only strengths.
Yes.
You mentioned the distance of college providing that space to be able to define yourself and begin to recognize the woman, quote, determined to break cycles of generational trauma and establish those healthy boundaries. Can you share an example of a specific boundary that you've had to establish, and what advice you would give to others that struggle to take that initial step in that self-advocacy?
Yeah, so at the beginning, I knew myself, and even though I was only 30 minutes away from home,
I can feel like a lot.
Yeah, I still wanted to like fully on take the advantage that I was now living on my own in a way, and I put myself that boundary, like I'm not going to call my parents after maybe a month or two. And like I told them from the very beginning, I was like, I love you guys, but like, don't call me. Like I need to fully on like, kind of like I wanted to prove to myself that I could live alone later on. Mm-hmm. And then also like they raised me well to be independent. And it surprised them a lot that I didn't need them, but I think that shows that they did a good job in raising me. even though they were first-time parents with me, I was kind of like their guinea pig.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I mentioned it like in my piece, but I think I do. I kind of grew up with them, and more like with my brother, on the other hand, he was raised by them.
Yeah.
And I think that is like something that I'm actually proud of, that we were able to like foster that type of environment. And yeah, like going back to like living on campus, I was very much like, I love it. I love the freedom that I have.
Yeah.
I love to fully on like express myself and develop those opinions by myself, not letting anyone in a way influence me, because I really wanted to see who I was and what I believed in without like the external factors, more internally.
Yeah.
And yeah, after 2 months they did call me though. They were like, how are you? Like, when are you coming back?
Yeah. Of course. I mean, they're your parents. I'm sure those 2 months they were like, oh, we want to call her so bad, but good for them for respecting your space and letting you, try and experience what it's like to maybe not have a safety net in place. Yeah. And I love that you said that you kind of grew up with them, because I feel like, those first children, people with young parents, people, my parents and I, we definitely grew up together because we experienced things that changed our lives from a very young point. So the growth that we all did together made us better. And then I have younger brothers as well, and they kind of got the benefit of them having learned those lessons, and it became easier for them. And you very much see those patterns of like, well, they got a cell phone when they were 10,
Yes.
Those classic things.
My brother got an iPad like when I was 8 years old, and I was like, I had to wait till middle school.
Right. But, those first parents are so worried about taking those missteps or not doing the right thing, and then the next time around they realize it wasn't that deep, right? It's gonna be fine.
Yes. No, I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
I think I always give them like the
benefit of the doubt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to.
The way they grew up was very different from the way they raised me.
Yeah.
And I think we improved a lot, and that's where like they broke some cycles themselves, and now it's my turn to break some of those cycles. And as we continue, like either my brother and I have create a family later on with our like partners, now it'll be their, hopefully they don't have any cycles to break.
Yeah.
We want to like at least do that for them.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah. We find our own things that we have to work through, but our parents, do their best. We do our best. It's an endless cycle.
Yes.
In your piece, you connect your personal experience to the common threads that you found in your friendships regarding these birth order roles.
Yes.
What role do you think that shared storytelling and finding that sense of comfort in realizing we're not alone, how does that play into the journey towards self-empowerment, healing from those pressures, and shirking those expectations? Yeah. So you connect your personal experience to the common threads that you found with everyone having those birth order roles and those expectations on them. So what role do you think shared storytelling, people talking about their experiences and their own expectations and finding a sense of comfort in realizing that we're not alone, how does that play into your journey of self-empowerment and healing from those expectations?
I think it serves as an outlet, I would like to say.
Yeah.
I think most times when I was younger, I felt very much alone. And then once I found those friendships, I realized, oh, you're like eldest daughter too.
Yeah.
You know how I feel. And then we had those moments where we're like bonding. And that's kind of what sparked this like piece that I wanted to write, because it's those conversations that you have with friends that are like vulnerable and just raw, and it's basically just like, in a way, like maybe some people could call it trauma dumping. But like for me, like I think it's just like we want to be heard, we want to feel seen, and the importance of like storytelling as well as just being empowered is sometimes just through a conversation that you have with someone. And if that person also in a way like coincides or aligns with what you've experienced, then it feels like like a moment where you just click and you realize, wow, I'm not the only one who's gone through this.
Right.
There's so many more also like eldest daughters, probably also eldest sons, and it's nice to just feel seen and in a way appreciated, because I didn't hear like I'm proud of you from my parents for a very long time until I like graduated from high school. And I told them, I was like, we need to change this because I want my brother to grow up in an environment where he feels loved and he feels appreciated.
Yeah.
And I am like, and for us, it's still a little bit hard to just say those three words. Either I'm proud of you or I love you. But I think in a way also they show it through their actions. So yeah.
Yeah. I think there's two sides of that storytelling. Like you said, it's very powerful to feel like people have gone through what you've gone through, that you had those same expectations of you, that people reading your piece will feel seen and understood and be like, that was me. It's so interesting that they worked through that because I worked through it like this. And then there's also the other side of the coin where someone who's an eldest daughter or an eldest son might read your piece or have a conversation with somebody and realize that they haven't broken down those barriers yet, or they still have those expectations on themselves, and how, you know, seeing somebody that's worked through it might give them the strength or the courage to decide to start breaking down those walls themselves.
Yeah. I wanted to like showcase that through my writing, because I know there's some people that may not have the opportunity or have that space to fully comfortably like speak up for themselves or just set those boundaries, because it's hard. Like it's easier said than done.
Absolutely.
And there are sometimes where I do have to like remind my parents like, hey, I set this boundary, like please respect it.
Yeah.
And now that I'm an adult, it's just like they see it, like they respect me. Yeah, I wanted the piece to fully on like, I don't know, serve as an outlet or just feel like a big warm hug in a way. Like, I get what you're going through. I also went through that. Maybe still a little bit still.
Yeah.
But, you know, we got this. And then, like, if anyone hasn't told them, like, I'm proud of them, like, I'm proud of you, then, like, let me be me. Let me, you know.
Yeah, let me be the first to say it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think to your point, you know, same with enforcing boundaries and knowing yourself, it never really ends. It's important to start that conversation, but you have to continue to remind people, hey, I set this boundary, please respect it. You have to continue to analyze what's going on with yourself and how much you've broken down and how much you still may have to go. Like, we never stop discovering ourselves, asking things from people. It's a lifelong journey.
Yes.
But the more equipped you are, the easier it is, right?
Yes. I've realized that along the journey, like, it helped a lot in college because you'll meet so many people from various different backgrounds, and some were raised in a different manner than you were.
Yeah. And
you always have to, like, give them the benefit, or at least, like, in my opinion, give them the benefit of the doubt, but also be like conscious that like it's not selfish of you to put those boundaries and be like, hey, like I understand where you're coming from, but also please respect my boundaries. And it helps a lot also like in the workplace or wherever you're at. Like you say, it kind of gets easier in a way. There's always that build up though, I feel like, where you're like, oh wow, like I don't know how this conversation's gonna go, but like I'm doing something that like will probably do me good later on. So
it's hard, but it's important.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, pivoting a little bit on talking about, attitudes in the workplace, you're a recent graduate. You're navigating those early stages of your career. How do you actively work to maintain that authentic self that you discovered in college, that you're still discovering, against a backdrop of corporate expectations and the inherent pressure to perform or conform in a professional environment?
Yeah. I've had some pretty good mentors who prepped me really good, because once I was graduating, I did ask them. I was like, was there anything that you would have changed from transitioning from post graduation, being a college student, to now post grad?
It's a great question.
And they were very much learn how to separate your professional and personal life, and find some hobbies. This is you have a lot of free time now, so in a way, fully on explore those hobbies, and or go back to something that you left, because I left dance for a bit, because I wanted to focus in college, and now I've gone back to it. And also with reading, I didn't realize that I hadn't read in so long, and that's one thing that I wanted to pick up on after graduation, was and now my bookshelf is too full.
Yes, the to be read list never stops, it only grows.
Yes.
But yeah, absolutely, it's so important to be able to cultivate your life outside of work, because the more full and well-rounded of a person you are, the better you can show up to your job, and the easier it is to work through things, because it's not your whole life, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I recently was moderated a panel, and one of the panelists said a job is just a job.
Yeah.
So it's, find what you love, and explore that, or pick up on other hobbies, do things that will make you happy, even the most smallest things, a pick me up, or your favorite coffee, and or just going on a hot girl walk. I like to say. So yeah, I think just in a way also that kind of fuels your self-love and your self-care. And you really get to, for some people, they might not understand. And, it's not their job to understand in a way, do what makes you feel good.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't expect everybody to understand you. If they don't, that's not your problem.
Yeah. I'm life is so short in a way. So, be intentional with your time. And always, I've learned that you're not gonna click with everyone, and that's okay. You can always just be cordial, and you can always just, continue to foster other relationships that are more intentional, and you get to live a life that you envision for yourself. So just have that as a reminder. Life is too short to worry about what other people might think, or I always had that fear of being perceived. And then I started doing content creation, and I realized it's not as bad.
Yeah. And people that perceive you in a negative way, that reflects much more on them than it ever does about you. They've got some things working behind the scenes there, and that's why they're bringing that negative perception. Yeah.
Okay.
So your background, what you're working on now, is at the intersection of creativity and strategy. You've got marketing and business, technology and analytics. I mean, it very much plays on both sides of that, right brain, left brain dynamic.
Yes.
How do you see these themes of self-reflection and the mindset that we were just talking about that you explore in your piece in Cerebral translating into effective or innovative practices that you bring to your professional work?
I'll try to answer this at my best ability.
Yeah, you've touched on it a little bit already.
Yeah, I don't know. I love working with my creative side, but I also like numbers. Like I love working with my analytical side. So like you said, right or left. And coming into college, I was actually health science major. And
Interesting.
I realized this is not like, even though like I could see myself in this, it's not my passion. And I know I can help other people in a different way, like my community in a different way. And I realized I've always loved to like be creative, like the arts. And I looked into marketing, but I also knew that I wanted to like hone those skills of like on the analytical side.
Yeah.
And I double majored and also in applied business technology. And it was a really nice experience because I was able to see the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
And then applying that to like my professional like experience now, it came in hand because I was able to talk to multiple people and like be able to connect with them, like either on the analytical side or on the marketing, like creative side. Because also marketing is there's two sides to it as well. Right. So it was, I don't know, I like to say that like I always love to learn. So like I have free will. So if I get to take a course or I get to take like a certification, a class, whatever you name it, like I'm eager to learn. And I kind of do miss at least that aspect from college, like to be learning.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I kind of want to go get back. Like, I kind of want to get my master's now that I know I've been able to get my bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
And I realized that, you know what, why not?
Right.
In a way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that having the inherent knowledge that marketing is both, it's creativity and it's strategy. Yes. It's seeing the bigger picture and knowing how to implement it, and having, being able to be creative and having those great ideas, as well as that strategy side of it, that, execution makes you an even better team player. It brings so much more to the table and makes you such an effective person in the workplace. And it also gives you that freedom outside of the workplace to continue to learn, to foster your creative habits, to show up, in other ways that you might not even have anticipated yet. You'd be, really strong on like the board of some organization. So there's all kinds of things that are still open for you. And higher education is always a good thing. So if you end up in a master's program, if you climb higher at your company, if you decide to go into a different sector, like regardless, you've got those skills that will serve you.
Yeah. And I think it goes to like, for me, education is so important. Mm-hmm. And I've always been an advocate that everyone should have the right to education.
Yeah.
And when I got to like my senior year of high school, I realized I'm honestly don't know how I'm going to get to college, but I'm going to get to college.
Yeah, one way or another.
Exactly. So I was like just doing a lot of research, writing a lot of essays, and then a lot of interviews as well, and just doing my own research on my own, plus meeting up with my counselor. And one way or another, that door opened, and I was able to pursue my post-secondary education. And going to Butler was very much like a milestone in my life, because I was the first one to go to college. But also, I knew that I had a new like type of privilege that I realized I want to use this to help give back to my community, because without them, I would have not been able to get where I am now.
Yeah.
And I always like now, like wherever I go, like if someone who is like who's a high school student or someone who's younger than me, who's, you know, about to go through those those stages of life.
Yeah.
Then I always try to help. And I also like am very appreciative to my mentors that I have now because they're helping me a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing to be able to give back. And I think that it's great that we can simultaneously be mentors to younger generations and still mentees because we're always learning.
Yes.
But yeah, being able to pour back into people in the way that people have poured into you is very awesome.
Yeah. Like that's why like I resonated so much when I first got to meet Ariana in More Magazine, because she let me know that the mission was to make opportunities reachable for everyone, and I was like, that's me. Like,
yes,
I align with that, and I've always taken that to heart, and you know, in a way, independently expanded or hoping to expand that mission to like my community. So yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us, for talking about your piece in Issue 12 Cerebral, for talking about your life post-More, for your life pre-More, all of your experiences and your family, and really digging into what it means to be an eldest daughter, to be a mentor and a mentee. We so appreciate you being on the show and diving into the behind the scenes, as it were.
No, thank you for having me, and I appreciate this conversation.
Yes.
Hopefully I did good. But
absolutely. We love having these conversations with people, getting to dig into the nitty gritty, you know?
Yes. Like, I think, like you guys say, dig deeper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to keep digging.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you guys for listening. Hopefully we'll see you next time on the next Let's Talk More on Monday. Make sure to check out our Patreon for our masterclass series and our founder series with Ariana, and pick up your copy of Issue 12 Cerebral if you haven't yet. It's turning out to be a great issue, and we will see you next time, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.